It's over, my friends. It's officially over. I can't believe this is not happening anymore. And what's also not happening is the IRS doesn't want your face anymore, and Intel wants to give money to a whole lot of companies. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast. I'm going to start off talking about the fact that we are currently live over on Twitch streaming our weekly tech meme review. You can come join us for great memes such as this. Report butthole company news or draw 25 cards. You better believe Brett's going to draw 25 cards and not ever report on that gosh dang company ever again. Anyways, we're live over on Twitch right now doing the tech meme review. Come join us as of the release of this video. Probably if you watch it 6 hours later. I'm not talking to you, but I'm going to talk to you about NVIDIA. Officially announcing that their deal with ARM is not happening anymore. This is something that we kind of knew was behind the scenes. Number one, because it was a dumb idea to begin with. Number two, nobody trusts NVIDIA to not, become a greedy monopolistic company. In fact, they kind of already have some practices that may or may not indicate that they do that on the regular. And if they were to acquire ARM, there was no way this was getting through regulators. And now NVIDIA and ARM both announcing that this is indeed not happening. NVIDIA saying ARM has a bright future and we'll continue to support them as a proud licensee for decades to come. Though we won't be one company, we will partner closely with ARM. I expect ARM to be the most important CPU architecture of the next decade. So NVIDIA just eating it, that $40 billion purchase that was supposed to happen, not going through. I think, honestly, this is a win for consumers everywhere. I mean, NVIDIA paying ARM to use ARM makes more sense than NVIDIA acquiring ARM. Them acquisitioning this was just going to make it so that they were going to put up barriers in place for other companies to use their products. I think even just seeing what Apple's been able to do with the ARM architecture with their M1 Pro and M1 Max chips, honestly, that's really good for the consumer. I would love to see more development of that by even major companies coming out with products that can actually compete with Intel and AMD and making it so that we're not just stuck in this either or scenario, but rather have a plethora of things to choose from. Let me know what you think of NVIDIA and ARM's deal falling apart down below in the comments while I tell you what I think about today's video sponsor, and that's scrumdiddlyumptious and really convenient. My friends, I talk about ButcherBox all the time because it's the way my family gets our meat. We don't buy it from the grocery store. We have it delivered every single month. And that's because ButcherBox is so gosh dang convenient. It shows up every month in a really good freezer-packed container, and then we just unbox and put it in our freezer, and then we're good to go, and it's completely recyclable. But not only that, the meat's freaking good too because it's 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, and wild-caught seafood. And it's super affordable, coming in at less than $6 per meal with free shipping when it shows up at your doorstep. Every box that you would choose from ButcherBox is perfectly packed and portioned for your needs, and if you use our link in the video description to sign up with them right now, you'll get 2 pounds of ground beef for free for the lifetime of your membership. So every single month, you go and get some free ground beef. You want free meat, my friends? Brett's gonna give you the free meat, okay, by using the link in the video description. Go check out ButcherBox. Maybe solve your family's meat needs by using Brett's meat need meter. All right, hopefully I can transition out of that to talk about how we can meet the needs of eyes being seen in VR by Tobii announcing that they are working with Sony to provide eye tracking for the PSVR2, which is supposed to be launching this year. I don't think that's official. I think it's unofficially supposed to be coming out this year. Sony's been releasing a whole bunch of details with regards to the PSVR2, including it having things like foveated rendering, and it looks like Tobii might be the company that's going to provide it because they honestly are the eye gaze company. They do everything really well with regards to that. So I could see this being a huge win if they can actually get these negotiations turned out. But that might also mean that this is going to take a lot longer than the PSVR2 coming out this year if they haven't even signed the contract for one of the major features. I don't know. I'm excited for it. PSVR1, absolute anus. Really excited for the specs on the PSVR2. And you might be excited because it's time for Cryptostonks. Yeah, that's the time. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. It's up just 0.5% to be at 44,236. It didn't really slouch much today. It was kind of, middling for most of the day, but as of recording, it's up just a scoochy bit. Ethereum down just a scoochy bit to be at 31.15, down 1.32%. Dogecoin down 6.38%. 2% to sit at 15.7 cents. But some people who were down Bitcoin from the Bitfinex hack that happened back in 2016 might be getting their Bitcoin back because the Justice Department has recovered $3.6 billion in Bitcoins, which is their largest reacquisition ever. In case you're not familiar, there was a crypto hack that happened back in 2016 with a Hong Kong-based exchange. Roughly 120,000 Bitcoin were stolen at the time, valued at $63.7 million. And now the US Justice Department was able to reacquire 94,000 of those Bitcoin, which are now worth $3.6 billion. It was a husband and wife who actually breached the system and transferred the funds to their account. They laundered the money for a bunch of different accounts, but the Justice Department was able to track it and reacquire the assets. They're going to be opening up a portal for the people who actually lost the Bitcoin in this hack to potentially reacquire it, unless of course you were money laundering and that's how you got the Bitcoin in the first place. And maybe in that case you don't want to let a US government entity know that you want that money back. But regardless, it's a big loss and now it's been recovered. But speaking of a government entity wanting to take things from you, let's talk about the IRS not wanting to take your face anymore, because they were working with a company known as ID.me that was going to use biometric authentication to verify that you are who you say you are, but in the way of facial recognition, to which there was a bunch of uproar on all sides of the political aisle and all sides of the internet being like, the facial recognition's not really secure, and like, we don't trust you to hold all of this, especially since the company ID.me has been criticized in the past for their lax security regulations. Anyways, the Internal Revenue Service coming out and saying that they will not be moving forward with this, saying that they take taxpayer privacy and security seriously, and we understand the concerns that have been raised. Everyone should feel comfortable with how their personal information is secured, and we are quickly pursuing short-term options that do not involve facial recognition. That says nothing about long-term options involving facial recognition, so maybe the IRS might want your face in the future, but for the time being, your face is safe, unless you look in a mirror, in which case you're gonna break it. Haha, dad joke. Anyways, speaking of bad things, like that joke, Peloton is gonna be laying off 2,800 employees, and the CEO is stepping down after a lot of different talk that we've had here on Hot News about the fact that their stock has collapsed from $50 billion down to $8 billion. There's talks of Amazon and Nike potentially buying them out. There was calls for the CEO to resign, and that looks like exactly what's going to be happening, with John Foley stepping down and 2,800 employees being laid off. And while we're talking about companies that made massive amounts of money and couldn't deliver on what they actually promised, Star Citizen is going to be removing timelines to avoid distractions on their roadmaps moving forward, because the old system was a mistake, and they don't want people who have contributed the nearly $500 million in funding to believe that projections are promises, okay? Just because we've taken $500 million, just because we've worked over this on 9 years, doesn't mean when we say we're gonna have the feature this year that we're actually gonna deliver it this year, okay? 2022 doesn't mean anything, all right? Your money, it means a lot to me, because that means I can keep going, but I don't have to give you anything for the cash you delivered me. This sounds like Tesla with their full self-driving stuff. It's beautiful, but you know what's more than $500 million? $1 billion. Intel announcing a $1 billion investment fund for disruptive startups working with x86, ARM, and RISC-V ISAs by providing foundry support as well as a whole bunch of cash, with Pat Gelsinger saying that foundry customers are rapidly embracing a modular design approach to differentiate their products and accelerate time to market. Intel Foundry Services is well positioned to lead this major industry inflection. With our new investment fund and open chiplet platform, we can help drive the ecosystem to help disruptive technologies across the full spectrum of chip architecture. So Intel actually doing something for the vast general consumer. This is going to be obviously a separate division. It's their Foundry Services, which is not the same as their like CPU development. The Foundry Services allow them to actually produce their chips, and laying this out so that they have a fund for startups that are going to be doing it is just honestly a good consumer facing move. I like a lot of the directions that Intel is heading in. I think I could do a little less with Pat Gelsinger talking a big game, but when it does come to stuff like this, Intel has been making big moves and shakes, and I definitely appreciate that. But since Intel's not giving me $1 billion, I'm gonna have to cut this episode of Hot News short. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Come check us live over on Twitch if you're watching this video as it comes out for our meme review, and we'll see you next time for the Hotness Tech News things.